Yo, what's going on, Los Angeles? Welcome to the Rams Skinny here on the LAFB Network, your destination for Los Angeles sports. We are Los Angeles sports. Hope everyone had a fantastic Christmas, a fantastic holiday season. As of this recording, we are on New Year's Eve. So I'll probably publish this on New Year's Eve. So almost the new year, not quite yet. 2025, I just think is going to be an awesome year. 24 was an amazing year. After 2020, every year it just seems like it's been great. Like, obviously things have happened. There's been bad things, but overall after 2020, it's like all you can do is go up, and we're just going to keep going up. And the Rams are going to keep going up officially after the overtime Washington Commanders win last night. Rams playoff bound, clinched the division. Impressive. We're going to talk all about the turnaround. Briefly mention the win over Arizona, 13-9. Thriller. We won't talk a ton about it, but we'll talk about that. Sean McVay, Coach of the Year conversation. What's up with the offense? What's up with the defense? We'll get into all of it. But first and foremost, a belated, very Merry Christmas to the co-hostess with the mostest, rocking the ND hat in the college football playoff. Rizzy Raz, Skinny T. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Rizzy Raz. Getting new nicknames. I love it.
I don't know why I said that. I don't know where it came from. It was just I was flowing.
Man, I'm doing great. This week in between Christmas and New Year's is always a strange one. We're looking at it now. I don't know if you guys know this. We have a whole website and we watch all of our traffic, and you guys are weird right now this time of year, not clicking on stuff, but it's a learning process, and we're having a good time doing it. That's for sure.
Yeah. Everyone's like, it's a weird week because anyone in sales is off the rest of the year. No one in sales is working anymore. I feel like most businesses, like the only people actually working are like in the service industry, like in us, like sports and media and service industry. Those are like the only industries that work this week, and everyone else is off and just gets to chill. And you think people off might be searching more, might be consuming content, but I think everyone's just enjoying family and friends, which is great. We can't hate on that. So, which we have too. Obviously we haven't recorded in a little bit, so, but good to be back with you. How was your Christmas? I know you're a displaced Angelino, so no real family here. What do you guys do?
Just hung out with some friends over in Pasadena, near your place, actually.
Nice.
Just got together, had some food, had some drinks, had some laughs, and then on New Year or on Christmas Day, I actually learned how to shuck an oyster. So nice. I felt very accomplished.
Is it challenging?
Yeah, you got to find the little crease and pop it open, and also not stab your hand.
Yeah,
which all the but I did about 30 of them, so
look at you,
success. Yeah.
Have you seen the movie? What's it called with Bradley Cooper? Not Blaze. It's like one word. Burnt.
I have not
seen Burnt. Okay, yeah. Very good movie. Check it out. This is random thought, but in the opening scene, he's punishing himself, and his penance is he has to shuck like 1 million oysters. That's like his punishment to himself. So,
I remember that. He played a chef, I guess.
He's a chef and goes back to like France to be the head chef of a restaurant anyway. But yeah, he's shucking oysters in the beginning down in New Orleans, the Big Easy. Which
we were just talking about that place. That's where the Super Bowl is going to be. We might be there again, probably.
We're credentialed to be there. We're kind of holding out to see for sure if the Rams or Chargers or both. Wouldn't that be great? We've been asking for an LA Bowl. Who would have thought if this year was the year we get an LA Bowl?
Yeah.
Wouldn't have thought it was this year.
Definitely not this year.
Not the way it started. So, these Rams, man. So real quick, just to tease with the new year coming, obviously everyone does New Year's resolutions. So Skinny, at the end of the show, I'll let you think about it because I didn't give you any time to prep. I've known my resolutions for a while. I have like 12 resolutions going into this year, but I'm going to ask you at the end of the show what your New Year's resolution is. That we can share with people as they go into the new year. Because the next time we record will be it'll be Thursday or Friday. We'll be in 2025. Yeah. So think about that during the show. Show is always brought to you by our friends at BetOnline. Head to betonline.ag today. All the best money lines, games, spreads, over-unders, every sport, every game imaginable, all at betonline.ag. You can do it from the comfort of your mobile phone or any, I always say laptop, but I guess desktop, any computer, tablet, anything. betonline.ag. Where the game starts. Tell them the guys at the LAFB Network sent you. So should we get what do we want to get into? I mean, 13-9. Let's talk the game a little bit. Let's start with the positive, right? Yeah. I kind of mentioned it against the Jets, but I'm going to double down on it. I'm liking the thing that has me excited about this Rams team, where they are, is that they're winning in different ways than expected. Like we've said it so many times. I know fans are probably sick of it, but this team was supposed to be a offensive juggernaut, and the defense we were hopeful could be like top 20, just good enough to hang on and maybe keep teams under 25 points, and we'd see shootouts every game. It's been the opposite, and the offense has been a struggle bus all year long, and even more so over the last 3 weeks. But the defense has just stepped up in a huge way. Granted, they're not playing juggernaut offenses themselves, but I've been so impressed by this defensive growth throughout the season. I think Chris Shula deserves a big hat tip for the job he has done. First year defensive coordinator. I mean, he should absolutely be up for I always forget what they call it, but the assistant of the year, whatever that award is called. But every year they give an assistant coach the assistant of the year. And I think he should absolutely be nominated and probably should win it, in my opinion, without showing any homerish. But so I'll leave it at that, toss it to you next. But that was my big takeaway, is this team is finding ways to win games. They almost gave it away at the end. All that matters is the end of the game, the score, and they pulled away 13-9 to move to 10-6 and now clinch a playoff spot. Your thoughts overall on the thrilling win over the Cardinals?
Yeah, thrilling win. Defense is what stood out, and you gotta give praise where praise is due. And you're looking at our draft picks for this year. Jared Verse with another 6 pressures, no sacks on that one, but only 1 missed tackle, so still involved. Braden Fisk there with 5, and then your second year guys, Byron Young and Kobie Turner. Young had 5 and Turner had 2 pressures. So, really getting it done against a banged up offensive line for the Cardinals. But, you gotta eat where you're given the opportunity to. So you gotta like all of that. So, another thing I wanted to point out is special teams, which last year was quite possibly one of the worst special teams units in recent NFL history. They've come back and block a field goal or block an extra point in this game that really, kind of shaped the complexion of the game. And, if they were able to go down and kick a field goal to tie it up there instead of having to pick up 4, this game could have looked different. But, all good things. Akhello Witherspoon coming up with a big play.
Jake Ellenbogen, where you at? Your boy.
Everybody's giving Jake some round of applause for that. His call out on that. He's been starting ever since Cobie Durant went out with a weird lung injury, so he's keeping his job alive there. So, playoff team, you got to look at the defense. You gotta look at special teams. You can't really throw a lot on the offense though.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that's what's been the most surprising thing, is that, the expectation of this offense with all the firepower they have, being healthy. I know Havenstein ended up missing this game with the kind of thing that popped up throughout the week, but relatively the rest of the offense line is healthy. All the skill positions, running back, Matthew Stafford, all healthy. And there's like no rhythm. No, and one thing we just mentioned real quick before we jumped on, and now we can talk about it, is like, just what's up with Cooper Kupp? I mean, do you think I've said before that as much as I love Stafford and as great as I think he seems to have a propensity to like lock in on one receiver and like does not really spread it around. And I don't know, again, we talked, I think, about it last year, or even during the Triple Crown years. Like, is that a product of Matthew Stafford's trust and style, or is that Sean McVay's play calling of like, every play? Because obviously every play call has like your first option, and then it's about, finding the other options. And I think Stafford's really good at, reading defenses and seeing where he wants to go. But for whatever reason, like, Cooper Kupp has just been non-existent over the last few weeks. And as great as Puka Nacua is, another 10 catch, 129 yard performance. Cooper Kupp, 1 catch, 29 yards. And I just think this offense would be much better with both of them being involved, as opposed to one just workhorse. And that's not to say Puka Nacua hasn't been fantastic and is proving to be a top 5 receiver in this league, which is amazing. If the Rams kind of were able to find the Cooper Kupp replacement before he was even done. But it is odd to me that Kupp, for how good he is, I know he's been banged up this year, but seemingly healthy, and almost like, I don't want this to come out wrong. I'm not saying he's checked out. I'm not saying he's like unhappy because he's the most like team first guy. But the amount of or the lack of involvement is just, it almost seems like, how do I say this, Skinny? Like, he's not checked out, but you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it just doesn't seem like he's involved. It's just very odd.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look at, I always think that quarterbacks like Matthew Stafford, the ones that kind of target one guy a lot, they like open receivers, and Cooper Kupp in his career has been able to get open, and I think he's just struggling to do that. Nothing on the injury report. He hasn't missed any time recently. But you see him get him up off the turf. He's taking time. He's not popping up like he used to. So I think it's, something to continue to watch. Is there such a thing as, the playoff Cooper Kupp? When you look back on that Tampa Bay Bucks team that won, Gronkowski could just kind of, out of the robot chamber and oil him up a little bit and push him out on the field. And he's old school Rob Gronkowski. So maybe that's what we can expect to see. And it's, it's just unfortunate, and it's something that we've wanted ever since Puka Nacua emerged as the product that he is, that the offensive juggernaut that he is. But I spend a lot of time thinking about the Los Angeles Chargers as well, and they've gotten a lot of production out of Ladd McConkey, their rookie receiver. But in modern NFL, and I don't need to tell Sean McVay this, but you need a lot of wide receivers to make a difference on offense. You think about Sam Darnold and his kind of turnaround. You plop pretty much any quarterback on a team with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and Naylor and TJ Hawkinson. It's like it makes your job a lot easier to do that. And I'm on the record for where I stand with Matthew Stafford and his health and decline right now, but you got to point to this as something that is, we're going to have to watch into the postseason and see how he's doing. But also Tyler Higbee, just I think 17 snaps total in this game. So, this is probably the healthiest team in all of football right now. It was just Rob Havenstein on the injury report. And you look at all the other ones, and they're pages long of guys that are dinged up at this point. But if you got a couple of guys out there that aren't moving at 100% speed and separation and whatnot, that's gonna have its effect. And this offense just hasn't looked exciting since against the Buffalo Bills when they put up 44 points. I said that I'd be satisfied if the offense beat the Jets by more than 2 scores, and they did it. But I was still left unsatisfied. And you look at like what the Chargers did to the Patriots and what the Bills did to the Jets. It's like, that's what I want to see from an offense at this point in the season, is really tattooing the defenses like the Patriots and the Jets, and the Rams haven't been able to do that. And it's confusing. And the only thing I can point towards is a lack of consistency, because everybody's healthy. You got good players.
Yep.
Perhaps they're not as healthy as they appear to be. And maybe they're trying to save stuff for the playoffs, and we're not too far away from seeing that happen.
Yeah, his team is funny. It reminds me, obviously I talk all the time and cover USC as well. This team reminds me of the USC Trojans in the sense that I truly believe they can beat anyone in this league, but they can also lose to any team in this league. Like, and that's the best case scenario. Like, that's the best example is you take it to the Buffalo Bills and put up 40 plus points and beat the Bills, who are arguably the best team in the NFL right now.
Beat the Vikings.
The Vikings. Another best team in the NFL. Like, those are arguably the 2 best teams, Buffalo and Minnesota. Like, that's a Super Bowl preview. Rams beat both of them.
Yeah.
But then they win still, so this is good, but they barely beat the Niners, the Jets, the Cardinals, the Raiders. Like, they're basically like USC. You basically have to have a heart attack the entire game. The difference is the Rams have been able to close out and finish games, whereas USC this season was not able to until kind of the last stretch of the season once they turned to Jaden Maiava. So that is good. That's the closing is the most important thing. Who cares how it looks in the stat sheet? But quickly to put a bow on the Cooper Kupp thing, the really interesting thing, Skinny, is when you look at the totality of the season, him and Puka Nacua are only 6 targets off. Puka Nacua, 106 targets. Cooper Kupp, 100 targets. Yardage is quite a bit different. 990 for Nacua, 710 for Kupp, but Kupp has 6 touchdowns to 3 for Nacua. So statistically over the totality of the season, it seems fairly even. However, when you look at the last kind of 5 weeks, it's all trending Puka Nacua. And when you look at just the receiving leader, Cooper Kupp has only led this team in receiving in 2 games this season. And the last one was November 3rd against Seattle. He had 104 yards. Since November 3rd, Nacua has been the leading receiver every single game since then. And the only other game Kupp led was week 1 against Detroit. So I'm not saying he needs to be the leader. And again, we're pulling at straws here because the Rams are winning. So I don't think anyone really cares that much. But it is an interesting kind of, I guess, how to intertwine these two when you have 2 elite receivers or seemingly elite receivers, yet one has either fallen off a lot or is just not being used very much for whatever reason. So it feels like ever since his name came up in trade talks, it's just like his production has just gone way down ever since that, because that was before the Vikings game. He played well in the Vikings game. And then after that, it's like we really hear him. He's had a few things here and there. So I'm not really overly, I guess, concerned. But it is, I guess, something to watch because if this team wants to go deep into the playoffs, you're much more likely to have that if both these guys are firing on all cylinders and both these guys can be true weapons. I love that you mentioned Minnesota because Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison are like, Justin Jefferson is still like clearly wide receiver 1, clearly. But Addison has his games where, like, just yesterday, Addison had 2 touchdowns yesterday. I mean, he has his games where if like they're really blanketing Jefferson, then he's the guy. In 9 weeks, we have not seen that. It has been the Puka Nacua show, and that is it. I mean, yesterday or Saturday, 1 catch for Cooper Kupp. 2 weeks ago, 0 catches for Cooper Kupp. One of the first games of, I think, his career being healthy, having 0 catches. So just something to thought out.
Yeah. Well, and to that point, Matthew Stafford has had 29 games in his career, including a handful of where he didn't play the entire game due to injury or whatnot, with fewer than 200 yards passing, 5 of which are this season.
Yeah.
So a pretty sizable amount of those. I think it's 20% or something, like close more than that. But, I'm at a loss. And the only reason I'm the one wringing my hands about it is because it's becoming more consistent that they're not executing on offense, and it doesn't seem like they have any answers right now. And I would like to feel a little bit more comfortable going into the playoffs saying, yes, I believe this team can match any NFC team. And I still think they can because we've seen it. But then you get Chicago and you get the Dolphins, and it's just and they barely escaped from this game with a win. I mean, it was a matter of a foot, difference, or Trey McBride getting his head around a little bit faster. And that's a L. And you gotta take them.
That's like the weird things. You don't want to like. We can sit here and say like, all right, they've won these three in a row now, or 4 in a row, 5 in a row, but they've won these last 3. But you're not going to play the Jets in the playoffs. You're not going to play the Niners in the playoffs. You're not going to play the Cardinals in the playoffs. But then the other side is like, well, the teams they are going to play, they've beaten also. Like they beat the Bills, they beat the Vikings. So it's just such a weird, like, what team are we going to get? But I think the positive side of this is they've shown that they can hang with anybody. Which is good. And so I think going to the playoffs, they're the 3 seed as it stands right now.
Yeah.
So they would play, I believe, Green Bay, maybe?
Yeah, that's the way it stands right now.
Green Bay, yeah. Or Washington. Or no, Washington's the 7 seed, aren't they? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it'll be Tampa or Atlanta will be the 4 seed as the division winner. And then 5 is Minnesota probably. So either, well, depending how this game goes tonight with Detroit or Minnesota will win that division, and the loser will be the 5 seed with Green Bay being the 6 seed. So Rams are, I think, pretty much locked to play the Packers, which they haven't been able to beat in recent years. So anyway, that's far down the line. We'll get to that. Team is in the playoffs. Hats off, Chris Shula. Hats off, Sean McVay. Speaking of Sean McVay, let's pivot to this. 1 week left in the NFL season. So everyone's going to start talking. Everyone's already talking MVP. As much as I love these Rams, I don't think we have any conversations with that. Rookie of the year, Jared Verse is locked up. I mean, Jared Verse is far and away the defensive rookie of the year. I mean, if there's even a conversation, I think it's silly at this point. Quinton Mitchell, I think, has played well with Philly. Tarheeb still with the Chargers actually played very well. There's others, but I mean, just put Jared Verse's name in ink on that one. The other one, though, is Coach of the Year. For whatever reason, Skinny, Sean McVay never is in the conversation for Coach of the Year, ever. I don't know if it's just because they're just always good, so everyone is kind of like whatever, writes it off. If it's because they see it as like Les Snead gives them too good of a roster, or whatever it may be. Now, this year is tough because, and we'll get to it, some of what other coaches have done. But do you think Sean McVay should at least be in the conversation? You don't have to say he's going to win it, but do you think he should be in the conversation for Coach of the Year?
I think he should be just about every year. I mean, if you look back at his career, I mean, he's had, I mean, apart from 2, put together some really, really fantastic runs. And, you kind of mentioned it in terms of the roster that's put in front of him. They've been asked to do a lot with a little. And, you think about the Chris Shula hire, he's spearheading that one. Yeah. He's handpicking him. I mean, they go back to their time at Miami of Ohio. Great decision. Hiring Brandon Staley, great decision. Raheem Morris, the guys that he brings in terms of the staff. Ryan Wendell this year, we've been tipping his, bringing Aubrey Pleasant back as well. Giving him another opportunity. So, I think that, the only thing that he doesn't have is like a big dramatic change from a bad team to a good team. And you're looking at, the ones that are at the very top right now, your Dan Quinn's, your Kevin O'Connell's. It's a dramatic turnaround. The Vikings were expected to win 6.5 games this year. That was the Vegas over under before the season. Washington doing a ton with nothing, but it's the dramaticness of those that are really catching the eye. Whereas Sean McVay is pretty steady in terms of his production and what, he can prove that he can do. So, I mean, one of the smartest coaches out there, one of the most empathetic people I've ever listened to as a coach, a true leader of men, the things that really make coaches really good and consistent. He does it on a day-to-day basis. So there's not like this kind of like, holy cow, can you believe how good the Rams are? I mean, people are talking about the Rams are the team you don't want to see because they got Stafford, they got Puka, they got Sean McVay calling plays. And, for all the trouble that the offense is having, proving that he can still, put up, 44 points against the Bills and really, shut down the Vikings. So, I'm a big fan. So I'm going to say he should always be in the conversation. It's just that there's no drama to that pick. I mean, I don't know how many times Bill Belichick won it when he was, in there for 20 years, but I mean, he should have been in the conversation every year as well.
That's a fair point.
He's just put himself in that echelon where it's just like, unless it's the number one offense in the league, he's not going to get the kind of recognition that he deserves.
And that right there, that last sentence is exactly it. Is that the perception, I think, with the voters is because Sean McVay has always been considered this like offensive wonderkind. In order for him to even be in the conversation, the offense has to be firing on all cylinders. When in reality, yes, he's in charge of the offense, and yes, the offense has not been very good, but in reality, he's the head coach. And the fact that this team started 1-4, lost Aaron Donald, had all these injuries, and they've now won 9 of their last 11 to be 10-6 right now. That's what a head coach is. It's not just calling the plays on offense. But I think the fact that exactly what you said, you hit the nail on the head. Unless he has a top, almost like season defining offense, everyone will discount him and not put him in there, because I get like they have the returning on offense. They still have Matthew Stafford. They still have Cooper Kupp, but it's like, he's the head coach, not the offensive coordinator. Like, yes, he is the offensive coordinator as well, basically, but he embodies the entire team. And you mentioned all the coaching hires and all the offseason moves that him and Les Snead do together. So it's he won't win it. He should be nominated. I think they always do like 5 nominations. In my opinion, you should be nominated. To me, right now, the front runners are obviously Kevin O'Connell, as you mentioned, and we love Kevin O'Connell coming from the Sean McVay tree. What a great hire that was for Minnesota. He's such a good coach. Dan Quinn, as you mentioned, I've always been a big Dan Quinn fan. I think Sean Payton is up there as well. They were also considered a 5-win team, and rookie quarterback, the 6th quarterback taken. If they end up beating Kansas City, which they should, because reportedly Kansas City is going to be playing all backups, so the Broncos should win, which would put them in the playoffs. If they end up winning and getting into the playoffs based on their projection, I think he's not a lock. But he'll be in like that top 3 or 4. And then the other one is the other LA coach, and Jim Harbaugh, with the turnaround he's done with the Chargers. So I think if you can, so Kevin O'Connell, Dan Quinn, Sean Payton, Jim Harbaugh, Sean McVay. There's your 5.
There you go.
That would be my 5 right there.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to shout out Dave Canales. What a turnaround.
Dude, I'm glad I love Dave Canales. I think that people like are writing off the Panthers so early. Bryce Young, obviously, we were talking about like, should the Rams trade for Bryce Young, which now looks like it would have been really good.
Yeah.
Dave Canales manned the ship. He ended up sitting Bryce Young down, which I think was good for him, letting him like, okay, let's take the pressure off you. And now it's like the team is competitive. I mean, they went from the absolute garbage team of the NFL to like, they're going to be maybe good in 2 or 3 years. Like they've got a good foundation, I think. So touche. Yeah. Last thing I'll say about Dan Quinn and Washington too. What is impressive? We know about the offense, and obviously Jaden Daniels looked great, and Cliff Kingsbury obviously is a great offensive coordinator there. But if everyone remembers, this is before Dan Quinn was there, obviously last year. Last year, remember, they traded their 2 best defensive linemen in Montez Sweat and Chase Young. Traded them away, so everyone's like, all right, this team's in full rebuild. And here they are. The Broncos, very similarly, let Justin Simmons, their best defensive player, safety, walk, and traded away Jerry Jeudy, their top receiver. Here they are, probably going to make the playoffs. So it's like, I think it goes to show, while I still believe having a good quarterback is probably the most important, it shows that coaching really does matter. and who is your head coach is, well, maybe that is most important, but who your head coach is a huge deal in this league. And the fact the Rams have someone like Sean McVay, I think, the guy should be, as you mentioned, should be in the conversation for Coach of the Year every single year because of what he does.
Bill Belichick, in his 24 seasons as head coach of the New England Patriots, won 3 Coach of the Year. So, wow. Good representation, but it's always one of those things where it's like, it seems like the voters get really bored voting. It's like Patrick Mahomes should probably be the MVP for the last, 5 seasons. He's got a couple in there, but they want to pick somebody else. So
it's every league does that, right? Like the NBA, like Nikola Jokic should win it every year now. And they gave it to Embiid that one year, it still angers me. I am sorry, fan. I know everyone listening is a Lakers fan, so sorry. I am a Nuggets fan. But it still angers me because to my knowledge, I'm not a big NBA guy, but no player has ever won, or no, only I think Wilt. There's only been a handful that have ever won 3 MVPs in a row, and Joker would have joined that. And he has 3 total. He won the next year, but the year they gave it to Embiid, like it was just because they were like bored or something. I'm like, yeah, we need a new MVP. So just going with your point, all sports do that for some reason. Like, why?
Yeah, who knows? Well, we're writers. We're always looking for a novel idea to have a good headline or something like that. Just a quick correction, but currently the Commanders are in the 6th seed with the Packers in the 7th seed. So there is still some interesting play happening in the NFC playoff picture. They're both 11-5 heading into the last week of the season.
Okay.
So still up in the air.
We got a ways to go, and we got into the week. We'll preview the Seattle game, but who would you rather play, the Commanders or the Packers at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I actually think Jaden Daniels is probably a better quarterback than Jordan Love. I think he shows a little. Good. I think he's a bit more composed, and with the pressure that the defensive line is getting on quarterbacks right now, I think that they would have a better chance with the Packers. Because they still have problems setting that edge, and Jaden Daniels can get outside the pocket and really move too. So, and Jordan Love can as well. He just seems to make many more poor decisions than Jaden Daniels right now.
Well, and Daniels has proven this year that he will run. I think Love's at the point in his career where he's like always looking to pass first, and if he needs to, he can use that mobility, whereas Daniel will just tuck it and run and take off and kill you like Lamar does all the time, which he did last night against Atlanta, which ended up being a pretty good game.
That was a fun game.
Yeah, that was fun. So, yeah, I mean, it's just impressive, man. Rams 1-4, and here they are in the playoffs yet again, and before this season, this is, I think we both predicted this to be like a 10-win team, didn't we? Before this
you were a bit more bullish. Your highest prediction, I think, was 10 wins. Mine was 9. Yeah. Sometimes 8.
There you go. So hit their 10 already, and they got 1 to play, and we'll see. Like I said, they're locked in at 3, aren't they? Or they could fall to 4, I think, right?
So they're sitting at 10-6. The Buccaneers, the best they can do is 10-7. So as long as they win against Seattle, I don't know where the tiebreakers come down.
Yeah. I'm asking because I wonder if they would bench players, because if they lose, I wonder if they could fall to 4. They can't drop out of the top 4. They won the division. So
yeah.
But anyway, we'll look at that later in the week, and we'll see if they're, and we'll obviously keep it here with the LAFB Network. We'll let you know if they are going to play their starters or not. As of Monday, I believe they are, but we'll see when that comes. But anything else to add where we can wrap this up?
Niners off to a commanding 14-6 lead over the Detroit Lions, which is such a fascinating league.
It really is. So I love it. Anyone can beat anyone. Yeah. You got to show up every week. You never know. So we'll see. But okay, we'll end with this. So I teased it before. New Year's coming up. What's a resolution you got?
This year is kind of like my first year LAFB full time. Completely changed my whole life. I'm working from home, working different kinds of hours, a very different kind of job. So a lot of sitting at the computer now. So it's I got to get back into running because it's such an important part of kind of my life, of just kind of mental health and physical health and evening the chemicals in my brain out. So I want to make that a priority in life. And this and another one that it was last year as well is also getting back to reading. Going back to my days in San Francisco, I commuted by bus usually. So I'd have like this locked in time where I could just 30 minutes, 45 minutes of good quality reading time. So I gotta build that back in because I got a stack of books. I keep buying them.
Yes.
And I got literally a stack probably of a dozen to 15 now. And people give me books as well. And so, yeah, definitely those two things.
Love it.
Making LAFB something really great that starts to sustain and help other people is a goal that I also have. So that's more abstract. But that is those are the big ones. I'm going to zero in on those too, because they're really important to me.
Yeah. I love it. Me and you are like the same person. I got for Christmas, Monica got me a pair of On. I think that's how, just like On shoes, the running shoes. Yeah. So comfortable. So that was a hint that yes, I need to get back into running. So my tangible goal is I'm going to start with 5 miles a week because I just want to do something that I can for sure hit. And then by February, I want to bump that to 10 miles a week. So I don't think that's anything crazy. I mean, you run way more than that probably, but for me, I haven't ran since like October now and I've gotten fat. So let's start with 5, get back into it. But then I signed up with a buddy of mine who lives in New York. it's like a lottery system. But I signed up for the Brooklyn Half Marathon in May.
Another Ryan, if I'm not mistaken.
Another Ryan. Yeah, another Ryan. So if you want, sign up for the Brooklyn Half. I'll send you the link after we're done with this.
Please do.
So it's a lottery. So we'll see. I think they pick at the end of January. But yeah, so running for sure. Shout out Pasadena Run Club Tuesday nights. Going to be back to that. I need to join you on. You do the what? Eagle Rock Run Club?
Eagle Rock Run Club. It's a lot of fun. There's a ton of people. 3 miles, 3 easy miles on Thursday nights.
Pasadena is. We meet at the dog house and have beers and tots afterwards. Like, it's just a great time. So back to that. So that's 1. 2, I want to read 1 book every month. That's why I said we're like the same. I've been terrible with reading. I do so much like writing and podcasting and sports reading, but I haven't just like read a book. So that 1 book a month can be either business or for pleasure. I want to read my Bible from front to back. I've never actually read the entire Bible. 34 years old, son of a pastor, and I've never read the entire Bible. I've read like probably almost all of it, like in bits and pieces over the years. But I want to read it from front to back over the course of the year. And I think those were my main ones. And then my last one, I want to educate the population on what clickbait means. Nothing drives me crazier, and I know me and you're the same, than working our butts off, writing something great, and then getting all these comments of it being clickbait when it's just, that's not true. Like, people don't know what clickbait is.
Whatever. People are probably tuned out already, but I'll give you guys a first lesson in this.
Yes, please.
The headline of a newspaper was meant to intrigue you, so you would plop down some money to read the story. That is the purpose of a headline, and it continues to be true. Except you can get all of our stuff for free.
Yeah.
So click it. Just do it. Yeah. Have a good time.
Who thought like having to click on something free would infuriate so many people? Like, you don't give them the answer in the headlines. They have to click, and it's like, so for those listening, still, most of you, I'm sure 90% of people have already ended the episode, but for those listening, clickbait is something that's misleading, overly exaggerated, or untrue. So like, if I read an article about, I don't even know, like if it's about Matthew Stafford's game and my headline is like, Matthew Stafford shockingly released from the Rams, that's clickbait. That's untrue. Or even if I over exaggerate or embellish something, but saying something that's just leading you to want to entice you to click, that's just good marketing headline. That is how we actually make money as a business. Like, I'm sorry, like it has to be done. If I just give you the full answer, who's going to go read it? And then I just worked for nothing.
Yeah.
Drives me insane. Someone on Reddit today like did something, and I was like, this freaking guy. So yeah, those are all my resolutions.
Actually, I have one more kind of in a similar vein. I've been off Twitter essentially as somebody that puts my content on my own personal Twitter. I want to get better at interacting with people on social media, because I just flip the switch and see red.
It's easy to do.
And I
did right now.
And I compose myself usually and just don't say anything. But I want to, like, I was talking to a buddy of mine, Tanner, about Paul Feinbaum, and he has all these people calling in, talking about, I was down at, I'm from Piedmont, Alabama. I was over at the Piggly Wiggly, and they got these great, shish kebabs, and I picked one up the other day, and I just wanted to say, roll Tide. and that's not a great example, but
that's a great example.
I want to interact with more people, and I don't really look at the comments because I say dumb things sometimes on here and people get on my case and I see red, but I don't I want to be able to interact with y'all on a civilized platform, I guess.
I mean, I try. Any engagement is good engagement for us.
You're my hero at this, of being able to interact with people and stay calm and not let it ruin your night, but it's just ruins it sometimes.
The one that does ruin it is when someone calls something clickbait, because again, it's just not true. Like, that's when I turn red. I'm like, this is not what clickbait is. It's the most overused phrase or to call when it's just not true.
Yeah, well, let us know it. I'm going to look at the comments for this and let us know what you think about clickbait, and look at some of our articles and let us know, and I'll respond.
It's marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or when someone says like, you're a terrible journalist with this clickbait. I'm like, you don't know what journalism is. Like, that's actually what you learn. I didn't go to journalism school. I took a journalism class.
Sure.
It's like what you learn is you have to write like enticing headlines. Otherwise, no one's going to read it.
Yeah. Hard lesson we've learned.
Yeah. So it'd be like owning a restaurant and then just like giving the food away for free. Like, okay, like you can't like make any money. Like you have to like entice people to come eat your food and buy it.
Yeah.
Think if I just said, oh yeah, come, all you can sample, just come sample everything. All you can sample. Then yeah, you'll just sample everything and leave and not buy anything. Got to entice you.
And it's free, guys.
And it's free. Doesn't cost you anything. Anyway, going on a tangent. So love it. Love you all. Love you all so much for hanging out with us. I know it's been kind of a scattered into the year. It always gets crazy this time of year. Yeah. We'll be back after the new year for sure with our 2 to 3 days a week. Even in the off season, we got draft season coming up. The Senior Bowl is coming up, which I know is draft centric, but obviously Rams do really well drafting guys from the Senior Bowl. That's kind of like the bowl game they look at the most because it's older guys, it's captains, team leaders, and that's big on the resume for Les Snead. Super Bowl, New Orleans. Hopefully the Rams are in it. We should be down in the Big Easy. Would love to see anyone that makes the trip. And then obviously the NFL draft coming up shortly after that. Combine before that. We got the combine. Some of the off seasons chock full of stuff. Where I promise we're ending here, but where is the draft this year? I'm like so all over the place.
That's a good question, but where we will be in Indy, we'll be at the Slippery Noodle. That's for sure.
Yeah. The old nudes, the old Slippery Nudes in Indy. The best. Slippery Noodle's the best, and old St. Elmo's. St. Elmo's is so good.
Yeah, that was really good. Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Green Bay, that's right.
That would be a fun trip. That would be
a lot of fun. Expensive travel, I'm sure. Flying into small little Green Bay or flying into like what's even closest, Milwaukee and driving.
Madison.
Yeah. Anyway, so everyone, hope you had a fantastic Christmas. Happy holidays. Have a blessed New Year. Cannot wait to talk to all of you on the other side in 2025 as big things coming, not just for LAFB, but hopefully everyone as well in their personal lives. So for Skinny T, I'm Ryan Dyer. Thank you all. Have a safe and happy New Year's Eve. We'll talk to you all at the end of the week.